Hello and welcome to Inquisitorial Archive. My name is Kevin O'Rourke. Today I'm responding to a video by Woodwad. I'm not looking at it right now, so I might be getting that wrong, but you'll get the idea. But he had a video on cooperative storytelling and cooperative narrative style play. And he goes into details about different things. And I was reading some of the posts as well that Emergent Play had, because even as I was watching the video, I was thinking, yeah, you know, Emergent Play is takes a very different approach to this kind of thing. Just you can see there's two different kind of GMing and gaming styles coming in there, seeing the two lads. It's good because both of them have valid points but different things. They're not. I don't seem to agree. I don't entirely agree with either one of them, but it's kind of cool. Like I immediately thought it's like yeah, and then I looked down the comments afterwards. I thought yeah, no, you're talking about because you know what the main man himself is going on about. Yeah, I know that they he's a GM. And I get that. I get what he's saying. That you should respect his authority as a GM, that kind of thing. It's like okay, but at the same time, Emergent Play is like, yeah, no, I'm not too sure about it. I'm just saying because they seem to be fairly on opposite ends on this. So that's good because they're actually, especially because they're both talking about it, because they're giving their viewpoints, and nobody's going to agree with them entirely either way. Well, very few people will, and it's kind of interesting reading over their things. I don't have too much personal experience with regards to how these type of games are run. I've only kind of heard two things, and I can definitely see how that type of mechanics in a game could just be just ridiculously awkward, especially if players are abusing it. But you can say that about many aspects of the mechanics of games. If players are abusing them, generally won't work out quite well, because like, oh no, well, I'm going to say, like, the description is being given that like I'm going to use the point so that there'll be a door there so I can run out the door, or I'm going to use this point so that there will be a weapon there which I'll pick up. It's like, okay, I don't quite, it's like if it could be very easily used, and if that's all it's doing is like I'm just going to do this so I'm always at the upper end. It's like, yeah, no, if you're using it to make the story more interesting, and if everyone's going at that level and they're not trying to abuse this mechanic, I could definitely see how this could encourage people to get involved with the game. However, I can definitely see how this would be a problem for the game. And I certainly understand why some GMs like, I just don't want to do it that level of it. People going, I'm just going to do this now, that kind of thing. Is like, well, okay. I can see how it could definitely be a horribly bad thing for a game. Like I said, if people abuse it. Because GM goes off and he's designed different things. It's like, okay, I do these things. And then people are abusing it. It's like, oh, well, there's no challenge about these things because I'm doing this, and this. It's like, well, you're just spending these points. It's like, so rather than engaging with a challenge, you're taking the quick way out by using these abilities. If people do that, I'm not saying everyone does. I don't think everyone does, but some people will definitely do that. Which, I could see how extremely quickly a GM would just be like, what's the point? I go off and I think about, design this encounter to be challenging. Not to destroy the players, I think about it to be challenging. And now fair enough if they use this ability because, well, actually, things have really gone against them here, like they've been really bad in their luck and using it like that, it's like, okay, that's fair enough. But just if the mechanic can be abused to the extent where the GM's like, well, what's the point of me going off and making an interesting encounter when the person just goes, I'm going to spend this point, change this, but it's like suddenly they just stroll through it. It's like, okay. And that's not the only way people can do these kind of things. It's like, okay, I'm not sure about that. I definitely see how it could really go badly. However, I think the only experience I've had with it myself is from this type of mechanic is in Black Crusade. It doesn't come from any of the 40k RPGs. In Black Crusade, a number of sources come up because when you're setting out the compact to basically the adventure, the quest that the group are doing, they set down, here's our primary objective and there's secondary objectives, and everybody comes out with their own personal objective. And they can say to GM, well, the way we're going to attack this guy who owns this library. Well, I'd like my personal objective to be is that perhaps my character has heard that there's this particular type of a book in this place. And I want to acquire this book, which could have me be diverging off at different points or whatever, or I need to get to this book for, and it's like, okay, so you're giving input there. The GM has the well, there's no guarantee that GM will accept this. GM can just go like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen because of information that you don't understand, the information that isn't apparent to your character, but you're supposed to come up with stuff, things you can put elements to start. So you get that kind of thing. But what is more of a point to it is for the Alpha Legionnaire. And these guys have an ability where once in the compact, they can, once in the quest or adventure, they can spend a infinity point. This is their special ability from what they are, and it makes sense in their background, that they have some kind of a they have some kind of a contact in this particular in one of the places involved. Like if they've got to steal a whole bunch of like promethium from some refinery, well, perhaps they have a contact there. They don't get to say here's a formula, but they say I definitely have a contact there. They may or may not like me. They can worship down on my feet, or they can despise me. But somebody I know there, and even if they give me negatives to my social attractors, I might be able to do it. And it's like, okay. And the GM can't just go, yeah, no. It doesn't happen. It's like, it has to be put in there. And I think that's fine, because it's not always going to be, well, you definitely have a contact there and it definitely works out. It's like, no, you have a contact there. You know somebody there, or you know of somebody there who you might be able to do it. They might despise you. But if you play your cards right, you might have another asset. Or sometimes it's going to work out that they really, really like you. It's like, okay, grand. But like I said, I think you've got the two contrasting balance, of viewpoints here. I could see very easily how it would go badly. I don't have too much experience. I do know from when somebody was describing the fate system before to me about doing a Dresden Files game, which we never actually got to do. Just talking about how it works out. That oh yeah, we're going through a. I'm not sure if it's exactly on topic with it, but we're going through a warehouse. You're trying to sneak up, and there's a security guard, and one of the players go, well, maybe if I spend these 2 points, it's a dark warehouse. It's dark and dingy. It could fit into a team. And you go, actually, no, I like that. That's actually, yeah, it is dark and dingy. But later on, if there's a firefight, they might take penalties to shoot. Like, it might help them to stealthing, but they might take penalties to their shooting because it's dark. Like, if you put something in, it's got a positive, negative effects. It's like, yeah, okay. And I think the GM does have, and plus, if somebody has it on their character sheet that their character is very stubborn or whatever, they can use this, can be used as a negative flow, because GM goes like, well, you're saying your character's going to walk away. However, I'll give you 2 of these points, slide them across the table. I'm offering them there. If you want them, your character has to stay there and argue your point for another, God knows how much, which means you could be late, or God knows how that. So, like I said, I don't have too much personal experience, but I would approach GMing any such game very cautiously. I wouldn't outright just say no. Any ability that has, if it just seems to me it's like, well, it was just going to be too much of a headache, because I'm going to do this, and then just like, bam, I spend this, and it's like, well, okay, well, I was trying to do something interesting here, but you had your magic MacGuffin door open. Okay. Guess you never see the plot of that thing. Maybe I can fit it in somewhere else again. Goodbye. Went through your magic door that you made. Not because you had a magic spell, because you spent a point and the door was always there. Even though, and it's like, I could see how it could definitely frustrate GMs or even other players, like if somebody's like abusing this thing. But I can also understand the viewpoint of how this could be a very useful tool and a very useful mechanic if handled correctly. So, as I usually do say, I really think it depends on the people involved. And I can tell you honestly, there are certain people I have played with that I would not go in a game with them as a player or as a GM when any came to any kind of mechanic like that, because like, no, that's going to end in tears, because they will abuse it. And other people that if I had the right group, even one of these games where you could do horrendous, you could do things that were like, wow, you're really changing yourself. But if you had the right group, if I had the right group of people that I trusted with it, that I knew weren't going to abuse the kind of thing, I'd go for it. I'd say like, hey, this could be interesting, this could be fun. And I'll leave it there. I'll see you again. Goodbye.